Etymology and historical origin of the baby name Robert. The name Robert comes from the Old Germanic name Hrodberht, derived from the near synonymous elements Hrod meaning fame or glory and Bert meaning bright, shining. The French Normans introduced this name to Britain in the 11th century, after the Norman conquest of England, where it replaced the Olde English cognate Hrodberht. Robert has remained a very common English name since the Middle Ages. The name was borne by 2 early kings of France, 2 dukes of Normandy, and 3 kings of Scotland, including Robert the Bruce, who restored the independence of Scotland from England in the 14th century. Robert has been a perennial favorite among English-speaking nations. Like William, Richard, John, Thomas, Edward, George, Henry, and James, Robert is a male name that has been in continual use for centuries. The name has also given birth to several variations and pet forms including Rob, Robbie, Robin, Rupert, Bo, Bert, Bob and Bobby. Robert remains a popular choice throughout the British Isles and Ireland as well as North America. The Spanish form of the name, Roberto, is ranked high in Spain, Mexico, and Latin America. Personality of the boy named Robert. Romance is the hallmark of the 6 personality. They exude nurturing, loving, and caring energy. 6s are in love with the idea of love in its idealized form, and with their magnetic personalities, they easily draw people toward them. Like the number 2 personality, they seek balance and harmony in their life and the world at large. They are conscientious and service-oriented, and a champion for the underdog. These personalities naturally attract money and are usually surrounded by lovely material objects, but their human relationships are always primary. They thrive in giving back to others rather than being motivated by their own desires. This is when they achieve great things. 6s are natural teachers, ministers, and counselors. Popularity of the boy named Robert. As mentioned above, Robert has remained an all-time favorite boy's name since the Middle Ages. In the United States, specifically, Robert has enjoyed the same perennial success. The name has maintained a top spot of the American charts since the U.S. government began tracking naming trends in 1880. For 110 straight years, Robert was a top 10 choice for little boys. The height of the name's popularity was during the late 1920s all through most of the 1930s, when it reached the coveted number 1 position on the charts. Not many names can claim that victory. It was not until recently, 1990, that Robert finally fell off the top 10 list. Then, in 2009, he fell from the top 50. Robert has stepped aside in the 21st century to make room for modern naming trends that favor names like Ethan, Noah, Aiden, Connor, and Logan. Names like John, Robert, Thomas, and Richard are still holding their own on the naming charts, but they have languished a bit in usage. Not to despair. Robert is an age-old name loaded with ancestral importance among English speakers, but without the heavy biblical baggage. Popular since medieval times, Robert still feels completely modern and stylish. It's a name for the traditional parents of today. If your little boy exhibits traits of shining brightly and you think he's destined for fame, then Robert is an excellent choice. Quick facts on Robert. Gender, boy. Origin, English. Number of syllables, 2. Ranking popularity, 62. Pronunciation, Rhbrt. Simple meaning, famed, bright, shining, glory. Characteristics of Robert. Family-oriented, loving, community-minded, compassionate, affectionate, humanitarian, sensitive. Cultural references to the baby name Robert. Literary characters of the baby name Robert. The Success of Robert Fitzgibbons is an illustrated book by Eric Blank that inspires and encourages people of all ages to discover and realize their dreams. The central message is that it's never too late to follow your heart. Throughout his early life, Robert excelled in everything he was expected to do: school, sports, and his career. However, he spent his time pleasing others while never taking into account his own happiness. Even success does not bring Robert fulfillment. Through his journey, Robert Fitzgibbons shows that it is never too late to follow his heart and achieve happiness, the ultimate success. The success of Robert Fitzgibbons will stimulate readers to set their dreams in motion. It is an encouraging story that inspires readers to embrace who they are and to take action to follow their dreams. This book is designed for readers 9 to 12, but a surefire hit for the whole family. Robert Jordan is the main character in Ernest Hemingway's 1940 novel, For Whom the Bells Toll. The book tells the story of Robert Jordan, an American who hides out in caves during the Spanish Civil War and wages guerrilla war against the fascists. Robert Jordan is a great and admirable character, known, above all, for his stoicism, grace under pressure, and toughness. He is Hemingway's creation of the anti-fascist hero. Jordan embodies what's called the Hemingway Code, the idea that there probably isn't God or a world after this, so you have to establish for yourself a code of behavior so you can be happy with what you left behind. Robert Jordan is manly, honorable, and idealistic, even in the face of sure defeat. He's charged with blowing up a bridge. It's a bad order, and he knows it. Yet he carries out his mission, protecting the small band of fighters who've been helping him in the snow-covered mountains. He sacrifices himself for their cause. In a 2002 public radio interview, former presidential hopeful John McCain said, "Robert Jordan was everything I ever wanted to be." The romantic late 18th century Scottish poet and lyricist Robert Burns took pen to paper in a few notable verses after meeting a young Scottish lass named Leslie Bailey. He was obviously smitten with her, but their acquaintance would be brief. She clearly left his heart a-pounding and inspired some beautiful lyrics. In "Oh Sigh Ye Bonnie" Leslie Burns wrote, in part, "To see her is to love her, and love but her forever, for nature made her what she is, and ne'er made sick on either. Thou art a queen, fair Leslie, thy subjects we, before thee, thou art divine, fair Leslie, the hearts o' men adore thee." Popular songs on Robert. A song by Dolly Parton, Robert, Dr. Robert, Brian and Robert, God Bless Robert E. Lee, a song by Johnny Cash, a song by the Beatles, Courage, Robert, a song by Meg and Dia, a song by Fish. Famous people named Robert. Robert Downey, Jr. Actor, Robert De Niro, actor, Robert Plant, musician, Robert Burns, poet, Robert Allen Zimmerman, aka Bob Dylan, musician, Robert Redford, actor, Robert Altman, film director, Robert I, King of the Scots, Robert Bob Marley, reggae musician, Robert Trent Jones, golfer and course designer, Robert James Ritchie, aka Kid Rock, musician, Robert E. Lee, General of the Confederate Army, Robert Oppenheimer, nuclear physicist, Robert Ludlum, author, Robert Frost, poet, Robert F. Kennedy, former U.S. Attorney General, Robert I, Duke of Normandy, Robert Pattinson, actor, Robert Louis Stevenson, novelist, Robert Palmer, musician, Robert Duvall, actor. Historic figures with the name Robert. Rob Roy was a famous Scottish folk hero known for stealing from the rich and giving to the poor, acquiring legendary status over the years as his tale was told and retold. Essentially a cowman, Rob Roy most likely rustled a good deal of his livestock. This was not looked upon as a necessarily bad thing. Even the Black Watch Regiment, which was formed specifically to control cattle rustling, looked the other way for enough money. In addition, Rob Roy was a Jacobite, i.e., a supporter of the restoration of the Stuart line to the throne. Other than that, the mythology is pretty much up for grabs, and many have taken the bait. It appears to have been a cattle deal gone bad that started the whole legend business, with Rob Roy resorting to the life of an outlaw after being branded as such by the Duke of Montrose, and having been stripped of his property and his living. Rob Roy took up arms against the Duke, and continued to do so for many years, until being caught and imprisoned. Luckily, he was pardoned by George I, and in 1727 allowed to return home, where he lived out his final years in peace. Already the stuff of mythology, by the time of his death, Rob Roy's reputation was enhanced even further by literary works by Sir Walter Scott, Daniel Defoe and William Wordsworth, Not to mention Liam Neeson's heroic portrayal of him in the 1995 movie. And he has a cocktail named after him. What higher accolade? Leroy Sachila Page was the extraordinary Negro League pitcher and Hall of Famer, who made his major league debut at the unprecedented age of 42, signing with the Cleveland Indians on his birthday. From humble beginnings in Alabama, Leroy Page gained his famous nickname as a boy toting Travelers satchels from the train station. That nickname was to gain fame again in 1987, when Woody Allen and Mia Farrow named their son Satchel which he, of course, dropped as soon as he was able. Leroy acquired his formidable pitching skills while in reform school and never looked back as he famously said Isamething might be gaining on you His career began in 1926 and ended in 1968, and took him from the Negro Leagues to the major leagues in a whirlwind of teams and travels, both in and out of the United States. No less a star than Joe DiMaggio remarked of him, was the best and the fastest pitcher I ever faced. Always a cool guy, Leroy Satchel Page left an envious legacy unmatched to this day.